Hey guys, welcome to Ozzie Reviews and welcome to September Q A. So sorry for the little bit of a delay. We've had a lot going on here on the farm, so that brings me to what's new here at Ozzie Reviews. So I'm going to put up a photo here of something that's been happening recently. As you can see, we've had one of our dozers turn over, and that turned into a bit of a lengthy rescue operation, but obviously no one was hurt. And everything's all good, but certainly it soaked up a little bit of time. And that's the way things go here on the farm. But we got that. We also got the Generation 2 rifle bags in stock. I think roughly off the top of my head, there's about 45 of them left, and that's it. So they've got the new improved handles on them as well. So that's the only difference between the Generation 1 Ozzie Reviews rifle bag to the Generation 2. So we've got them guys pretty much at this stage, not getting any more for some time. So if you do want one, by all means jump onto our web store and we can get you sorted there. Okay, so review side of things, I'm going to be doing a little bit more with some ammunition sort of testing and stuff. So I've got a couple more videos coming out there, and I'm going to try to do a little bit more with videos with regards to, not so much reviews of rifles or pistols or shotguns, but more information videos to sort of help you out with some of the more commonly asked questions that I get, not just addressed here in the Q&A. So I've got a few different things in the pipeline, so keep an eye out for that. Okay, so let's jump into this month's questions. Okay, so first question here is from Mark, and he says, hey Ozzie, I've got a question about traveling with a firearm. I'm planning on a 3-week trip post-COVID from Victoria to South Australia, then to New South Wales and back to Victoria through the high country. Sounds like a nice trip. When I'm in the high country, I'm planning to do deer stalking, so I need to take my firearm with me for this part. I can just imagine the trouble I'll have if being stopped to explain to a police officer in South Australia and New South Wales that I'm heading to Victoria, to do this. I'll have the firearm with me for hunting, but I just wanted to know what your thoughts were. Okay, this is a interesting one because here in Queensland they've changed that. They slipped that through the regulation. Obviously I can only really talk about here in Queensland, and they've actually changed it so you can pretty much only go from point A to point B for the purpose of your trip. Now, in other words, if we were traveling like say 500 kilometers, and you're going to a range or you're going directly out to a property to be able to shoot. So in other words, you can't then go on a round trip somewhere and stop in here, there and everywhere like that. That's the current laws here in Queensland. However, common sense, you've got to be able to stop to eat, go to the toilet, you may want to stop overnight in accommodation on that trip. So that would be the first thing I'd say, Mark, is make sure that you don't have similar laws in New South Wales, South Australia or Victoria that say basically you only go from point A to point B, because if you do get pulled over and spoken to about that, and you're obviously not doing that, and you say, oh yeah, no, I've been to visit some relatives and I've been doing this and I've been doing that, and you still got your firearm on board, you may come unstuck. Hopefully they haven't changed that down there, but I would definitely check that. If they haven't, it's pretty straightforward. My view is you've got a genuine reason there to have the firearm with you, it's licensed, and you're going to a specific area to be able to do something that is a genuine reason, being hunting or recreational shooting. So I can't see too many issues there, but definitely check the beginning of what I say there about making sure that there's no laws that only allow you to go from point A to point B directly without any detours, okay? Otherwise you'll come unstuck there. So that's the only way I would look at it, but also too, keep in mind, I know you're probably doing, as you say, some deer shooting and that. Just keep in mind when you go through the communist county of New South Wales that you don't have a adjustable stock or anything like that they have down there is prohibited, okay? Because even though it's allowed in your state, and that's the most craziest thing about it in my view, we could have stuff here in Queensland that's completely permitted. You go over the border or you pass through New South Wales going on a trip to Victoria where it's also legal, New South Wales will have stuff that's prohibited, and all of a sudden if you get pulled up, you can land in a lot of hot water. So just that would be the other thing. Make sure that everything on your rifle, there's nothing prohibited on that rifle in New South Wales. Next question I got here is from Rosinski. He's got a couple of questions. So the first one, he says, "Hey Ozzie, how are you going? What will happen to my gun if I die or get disabled, too disabled to own a firearm? How can I inherit or donate my guns to individuals, specifically family members or friends or even entities?" Well, that's pretty straightforward, mate. You know, you've got to get yourself a will, and you put specifically in that will who you want those firearms to be left to, okay? So usually what will happen if someone, you know, obviously passes and you've specified who you want to have those firearms, or even if you were disabled, you could have that in that will that you want firearms to go to a particular person or organisation or whatever you choose, then that will be covered off legally in that will. Naturally, whoever those firearms are left to need to be A, licensed, and B, have the category of those firearms that you're leaving. So for example, if you had a category H pistol and you were leaving it to a friend who only had an A and B license for rifles and shotguns, then naturally you're going to have to make sure that, well, they will have to make sure that they go and get a category H license to be able to legally, you know, have that firearm. So yeah, that's a pretty easy one. Now the next question you've got here is asking about, would I consider backing up my YouTube channel to Odyssey? It's a privacy and free speech friendly video publishing platform unlike YouTube. Yes mate, I've been sort of down this track before with a lot of people, and they say, oh, you know, jump over to this or that. Problem is, you know, the web traffic just simply isn't there. And if it's just used as a backup, well, my website has all my backups. You know, I know it's got embedded links to YouTube. However, all my actual videos are backed up, like with my web guy and everything. So, and we can run that on aussiereviews.com, no problem at all. So if there was a real issue like that, you know, and YouTube got to the stage where everything was just unworkable, I mean, I've got my website there and I'll just continue to put up videos there. So yeah, that's my answer to that one. Next question I got here is from Ben, and he says, "G'day Ozzie, hope you and Hank are doing well. So I'm looking to get a second rifle. I have a 1.7 HMR at the moment and looking for a rifle for mostly target shooting, but I would like to do the occasional fox and deer shooting. Maybe once a year, and I'm thinking something along the lines of a 6.5 Creedmoor or 25-06. I don't mind reloading, or should I just go straight to a 270 or 308? Look, it's a hard one because, you know, I get that question a lot with people who want to know, you know, oh, should I go with the 6.5 Creedmoor? You know, and they often mention it because it is a very good caliber, very high ballistic coefficient. So in other words, it stays aerodynamic out at those longer ranges. So if you are target shooting, my question for you, mate, would be, how far are you target shooting? Are you just going to the range regularly and just shooting at like maybe 100, 200 yards? You know, you're not really going to see any benefit of 6.5 Creedmoor over, you know, 308. However, if you were going to that range and you were shooting out like, you know, 800, 1,000, you know, even out to 1,500 yards, you know, definitely I would suggest 6.5 Creedmoor. 270, like if you're doing target shooting with that, I mean 270, you can get some very accurate 270s, but in general, I mean 270 for me is an absolute premium deer cartridge, and that's what I would be using it for. So very much the same with the 25-06, you'd be wanting to get obviously brass for that and reload it because factory ammunition is very, very expensive. So I guess, Ben, it comes down to the short answer of, okay, if you're just going to be target shooting, you know, within say, you know, 100, 200 yards out at your range mostly, and then you're going to go away and do a bit of fox shooting or doing a bit of deer shooting, well, 308 is going to do the job hands down every day. You can buy it, obviously some real great ammo deals, even the shells, all those sort of stuff, very readily available. Definitely over penetration for foxes. I mean, you hit a fox with a 308, well, yeah, it's going to stay dead real quick. So that's the same, 270, all those calibers would be overkill in my view. So, you know, really, yes, you can take foxes with it and do the job very effectively, but it's not an ideal cartridge for any of those, mate. I mean, seriously, I'd be just going out and using your 1.7 HMR for that, and then leaving, you know, a heavier centerfire caliber for that deer hunt and obviously your target shooting. So I hope that answers your question. Next question I got here is from Sean. He says, "Hey Ozzie, hope you and the family are well. Firstly, I'd like to say thanks for the 2 amazing shotgun bags we got in the mail. Quality is outstanding. Now we would like to fill them with decent shotguns." Well, mate, I'm glad you like them, and yeah, I'm very happy with that 100% positive feedback I've had, because we've certainly put a lot into it. So your question here is, sorry for the ramble. Obviously there's a little bit more there, guys, but it's not related to the question here. My question is, what shotgun can you recommend for us both to use? Willing to spend up to $2.5 grand. Is 20-inch barrel for short, is 20-inch barrel too short for hunting? We will be on foot, so definitely need a sling or applicable attachment. Okay, so, all right, this is where I differ from a lot of people, because for me, and I guess from the years of doing feral pest control and going out and doing contract shooting, you know, you see people who get really wrapped up in, you know, like the straight pull shotguns and everything, and they go, oh yeah, but I've got like 7-round capacity and stuff like that. You know, for me personally, I would prefer a 20-inch barrel ACR-3 shotgun, because you've got the single trigger and you've got 3 barrels. So when you've got it up to the shoulder and you're walking along and you come across like a mob of pigs, you know, like you can just come straight up to the shoulder and you don't interrupt that continual side alignment, just go bang, 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 like 3 controlled shots, as opposed to, you know, say for example, a straight pull with 5 rounds in it, and you're going bang, having to pull back, cycle that action. As soon as you cycle that action, your side alignment is dropped. Okay, so you need to get back on target, and that's a split second of those pigs running in behind scrub or whatever that you could use, you know, and make use of that valuable time. So for me, I'd be looking at like the ACR-3 in a 20-inch barrel. That's the way I would go. I think, like, I mean, I've reviewed it obviously with the longer barrel. I had 0 problems with them, and I mean, geez, you can get those shots off quick. Yeah, there's only 3, but it's break action. Bang, break it open, spit the shells out, another 3 straight in, and you're back in the game. You know, where if you shoot like a straight pull, well, you've got 5 rounds, and you know, once you expire those 5 rounds, you shoot them off. Well, what do you got to do? Tubular magazine, load those other 5 rounds. Well, you can load that ACR-3 a lot quicker. So yeah, that's sort of the way I would go, mate. There's a lot of, just keep in mind too, like if you don't have a sling attachment, you know, like on a shotgun as well, mate, there's nothing stopping you. You know, you can take it to a gunsmith if you want. A lot of guys do it themselves, but if you want a really nice job, take it to a gunsmith who's, you know, used to working with wood and everything, and they can actually do the proper drilling and everything to put that sling attachment on for you as well. So don't discard that idea. But that's the way I'd go, because, you know, like, I mean, say for example, you ended up getting 2 of them, right? So if you have your missus and yourself and you're walking along, well, there's 6 shots between the 2 of you, you know. So any mobs of pigs that come out there, mate, they're just finished. You know, you've just got that quick follow-up couple of shots there, and you're not having to break that continual side alignment, which is so important, and hence why occupational shooters, you know, put in and use semi-automatic firearms, because it's exactly that. You don't want to be manipulating that action and breaking that continual side alignment, because that is precious split seconds of you know, correct shot placement without having to manipulate that action, if that makes sense. I hope you understand where I'm going with that. So yeah, that's exactly the way I would go. Have a look at the ACR-3 in the 20-inch. Go into one of your local gun shops and have a look at it and just see what you think of it. You know, put it up to your shoulder, see how you feel with the balance of it, and you know, see if it's suitable for you at the end of the day. Next question I got here is from Wayne. He says, Ozzie, what's your opinion on the most accurate 22 LR rifle, with money being no object? Well, that's a pretty open question, because, you know, honestly, mate, I would say, well, okay, you're talking about like you know, something in sort of like a hunting setup, or you're talking about like off the bench, you know, like if you're shooting off the bench and you've got a dedicated 22 LR bench rest rifle, yeah, by all means, that's where you're going to get your real accuracy. But something that isn't really sort of custom, that's you know, just I guess mass produced, I mean, I really can't go past the Anschutz 1710. I mean, I've had a couple of them, and you know, you really don't even have to go to the you know, the DHB, which is the heavy barrel version. You can use like the DKL, which has got the open sights on it. It'll shoot just as accurate. Even the new 1761 Anschutz, really good. But honestly, you know, even if you wanted to save some money, and I know, Wayne, you said that, you know, money's no object there with it, but honestly, like, look at the CZ, the 457. I mean, they're as accurate as can be. You find the right ammunition for them and they'll just shoot hole through hole as well. So yeah, it's sort of a very open-ended question. I mean, you know, to me, like for a 22, if I can put 10 shots into, you know, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2 of an inch there at 50, that is ample for me. That is, you know, superior accuracy, and you know, I'm happy with that. And I can do that with the Anschutz 1710. You know, with the right ammunition, you can do it with a CZ. There's so many different options out there. So yeah, mate, it's sort of like I say, an open-ended question. But you know, that would be my pick from rifles that I've owned and used myself. I've not been a bench rest guy by any means. So once people start talking about, you know, custom bench rest rifles, yeah, I don't use it. That's not my thing. I mean, look where I am. I'm not here all day shooting off a bench and trying to get that, you know, that 1 millimeter extra accuracy out of the rifle. To me, that doesn't interest me. I like to just have a rifle that's very accurate. Shoots, you know, if it's a rimfire there, shoots at 50, around about that ½ inch, you know, for 10 shots or even 5 shots is fine. And if it's a centerfire, I want to come in about that sort of 0.5 to, you know, 0.6, 0.7 of an inch for 5 shots there at 100, and that's me done. I just don't have a, I guess, a purpose to go any more accurate than that, because out here, you know, my main purpose is pest control and obviously hunting. And you know, when you shoot game, if you shoot them here, or you might shoot a millimeter off here, what's the difference? Dead is dead, and you've made an accurate, humane shot, and that's all that matters to me. So yeah, we're sort of on perhaps different levels there, but that's the beauty of shooting, isn't it? Everyone has their own little niche, what they're trying to fill. Next question I got here is from Paul, and he says, hey Ozzie, I've got my Cat C license for primary production. I'm wondering what you recommend for the best Category C firearm available. I know you love the Benelli M4, and I'm keen to hear your thoughts after using it for a couple of years. Okay, that is makes me smile, mate, because that Benelli M4 is just an absolute machine of a shotgun. Like, I haven't had a single failure with that shotgun. No fail to feed, no fail to eject, like zero, nothing. It is never screwed up on me, put it that way. And it just keeps going and going and going and going. It pretty much doesn't matter what I feed through it. I mean, as long as you don't go to really light, like target loads, but once again, you know, you're saying like you're doing primary production, then that's not going to be your use light target loads at all. So, you know, if you're going to feed decent loads through it, it'll just keep cycling all day long. And mate, honestly, like with what I did, like, I mean, obviously have a look at my Benelli review there, but when I put that Limb Saver recoil pad on the back and the setup I've got with the aim point red dot, like it is just absolutely beautiful to use, and probably like just the hands down, probably the best shotgun you can have there for primary production. You know, you're getting along, you've got pigs come running out of the wheat, or, you know, you're out there taking foxes or even rabbits, hares, whatever. Just an absolute brilliant shotgun, and I cannot rate them highly enough, especially for primary production, because that's what I use mine for. All right, guys, that concludes this month's Q&A. Thanks very much for the questions that you've submitted there. As I've said, if you want to be a part of the Q&A series, then you've only got to be a Patreon supporter, which you can do for as little as $1 a month. So $1 a month, free to ask as many questions as you want, and it's just a little thank you to me for me giving you my time to be able to individually answer your questions. So till next month, guys, keep an eye out on the reviews, and we'll catch you then.